Hello and welcome back. Today I want to discuss Muhammad's interrogation technique. Now, before I do that, I need to engage with some background and more specifically the standard Islamic narrative with regards to the appropriate materials to understand who Muhammad was. Specifically, the life of Muhammad, Sirat Rasul Allah is the earliest biography of Muhammad written by Ibn Ishaq, who died in 765. That is 133 years after Muhammad's death, who died in 632. So we have Muhammad dying in 632, and this Ibn Ishaq supposedly writes the first biography in around 765. That's when he died. That's 133 years after Muhammad dies. But the point is that that is not actually correct. Ibn Ishaq did not write this biography, the earliest biography of Muhammad. That actually goes to a man named Ibn Hisham, who died in 833. That's 68 years after the death of Ibn Ishaq. But we need to understand here that Ibn Hisham, he discarded a lot of material that Ibn Ishaq wrote, and he had his own material. But so the actual author of the biography of the life of Muhammad is Ibn Hisham. So why is that important? It's important because, of course, Ibn Hisham died in 833 and Muhammad died in 632. So if you do some math, 833 minus 632 is 201 years after the death of Muhammad. We have the earliest biography. So to put it in more generic terms, we have the first biography of Muhammad 2 centuries after his death. That is a very long time for the biography of the central figure in Islam. Now compare that with, the Gospels written within the first decades after the events that they record. Specifically, if we have eyewitnesses who wrote down what they saw with regards to the life, death and resurrection of Christ. You have Matthew and John, who were apostles, who wrote their gospels, and then you have individuals who interviewed the eyewitnesses. You have Mark, who interviewed Peter, and then you have Luke, who interviewed he interviewed all kinds of eyewitnesses and then he of course compiled his gospel. That is written within just the first couple of decades after the events that they record. So we have, just think of it, just real quick. You have 200 years for the first biography of Muhammad, or you have the first couple of decades, for the Gospels to be written down. But I digress. Now, specifically, like I said, I want to discuss Muhammad's interrogation techniques, or specifically a technique that he used to find information about this buried treasure or money. It's in the biography of Muhammad, page 515. It says, Kabir bin al-Rabi, who had custody of the treasure of bin al-Nadir, was brought to the apostle being Muhammad, who asked him about it. This man, he denies it, that he knew anything about it, where it was, and he said, that these other people came to him and they said that we saw the man circling around these ruins. So the man is brought to Muhammad and he says, if we find this treasure, that I will kill you. And the man says, he says yes. But then notice what it says here. It says, then the apostle gave orders that the ruin was excavated and some of the treasure was found. And it says, when he was asked about the rest of it, he refused to produce it. So the apostle, notice this, he gave orders to Zabir bin al-Muwami to torture him until you extract what he has. So he kindled a fire with flint and steel on his chest until he was nearly dead. Then the apostle delivered him to Muhammad bin al-Mami and struck off his head for vengeance for his brother. So in more basic terms, in more contemporary terms, what we have here is that this man, he has a treasure, and people see this guy circling these ruins, and Muhammad wants to know where the treasure is at, and the man initially, he denies it, and then Muhammad says, if we find the treasure, I will kill you. That's what Muhammad said. And the man said he, of course, understood that. So Muhammad orders another man to torture this man for information about where the rest of the treasure is. And then after he is tortured nearly to death, Muhammad gives him to another man, and this man beheads him. But the question I want to ask is why would Muslims actually want to follow Muhammad, who is considered to be the pattern of conduct? Did you notice Muhammad ordered the torturing of a man in order to find information about some money? Is there no depth to the depravity of Muhammad and the debauchery of just how low Muhammad will stoop in order to achieve his goals? Now, I don't know whether that's just the way Muhammad is. I'm aware there are several peaceful Muslims. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm saying that your pattern of conduct, Muhammad, is deeply sinful and he's flawed. So, you may say, down in the comment section that, I picked one and I've cherry picked it. But this is just one of several, thousands we could find with regards to the conduct of Muhammad, specifically within the Hadith, with regards to his conduct, whether it was how he treated women or how he treated his own wives, or even how he treated his slaves, or that he traded slaves. But my point is, though, that Muhammad he's not the pattern of conduct whom you need to follow. But there is a prophet in your book whom I would suggest that you do follow. But the point is, with regards to finding him, that for some reason Muslims want to say that the Bible has been corrupted and that it cannot be used. But the problem with that is that the Quran affirms that the Torah and the Gospel, the Old and New Testament, was sent down by your God. And your Quran also says that nobody can change his words. So if that Islamic logic works for Muslims, then logically speaking, then the Bible would be intact. So I challenge you to simply do this. Go in your sources and compare the life of Muhammad. Use the Quran, use the Sirat and the Hadith. Compare the life of Muhammad with the biblical information regarding the life teachings of Jesus Christ, and see which one stacks up better. I want to thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.